We're trying to build a new kind of civilization. We believe that in the near future, agents and humans will coexist. Our CEO wants to live 100 plus years.
Me too.
Right? Who doesn't? Have you seen Ryan Johnson fighting death?
Why do you think that this democratization to compute is so important?
I come from a dictatorship country, and the voting system was so messed up that they can always win, right? That's something cannot happen with blockchain.
What is your greatest possible ambition for this project?
Interesting question. I think
I've been working with the Token.com team for almost a year now, and I want to share their new product with you all. If you've traded or own any Token.com token, drop your wallet address in the comments for a chance to win up to $500. I'll pick 5 lucky winners. Join the Token community on Telegram, follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube to join in more competitions to win and earn Token.
Today we have a phenomenal team on. They've been shipping despite kind of some lazy market conditions. So we're excited to have them on and hear about all the action. And I'm gonna start off with a hot take, as I like to do. So your project, you guys are working a lot in the AI space. I think a lot of people in crypto think that the AI space, as it relates to crypto, is largely vapor. Why is your project not vapor? And do you think crypto and AI, the intersection of crypto AI is largely vapor, or is there a lot of substance here?
Well, it's a great question. I actually ask that question myself all the time because for those that have been on crypto for several years, that it's kind of hard to find, companies that are really building AI solutions for longer period of times. And obviously when trends shift, it's very common that companies shift and pivot to different trends, right? And that's what makes us apart, essentially. We've been building AI solutions for several years, and that's what it makes us pretty solid in terms of our AI capabilities, the way we structure our ecosystem. And yeah, why not, right? If it is a good trend and there's a meaningful way to bring AI solutions to whatever solution you're building, then why not, right? But this is like the case on NetMind is completely different. We started building a decentralized compute network. We deployed a serverless inference platform as well, and now we're going through a AI agents layer. So again, we've been focusing on AI since always. We're an AI first company, and we actually integrated blockchain later. So that's
right. Interesting. Yeah, I think people who were kind of on the AI trend before it became like a crypto trend tend to be the ones that are most legitimately like building for the space, and then the people who kind of came to it afterwards are kind of the narrative chasers. And I think you're right with like the idea of a pivot. So you have like companies that are totally legitimate and then decide to pivot into AI, which is fine. And then you have kind of like the narrative chasers who say, okay, this is hot right now. We're going to try to extract value by pivoting to this narrative. And they're pivoting to a narrative versus pivoting their product. And I think that's an interesting distinction to make.
Totally.
So with that question answered, I'd love for you to give us an introduction of who you are and what you're working on.
Yeah, so this is Ronald. I'm Web3 lead at NetMind. I'm from Venezuela. We recently discussed that originally, and I've been in crypto for so many years now, I would say. That time in crypto feels different, hits different. And I started back in 2014 or so, buying a few Bitcoins back then. And yeah, I started learning a lot about the technology because it's definitely a game changer. I was working on the, kind of a traditional banking industry, and especially on cross-border payments, and then blockchain became a thing, right? It was a kind of a new technology, similar to AI nowadays, right? That people started to do a lot of research, and essentially I just connected the dots and figured it out that, I was probably not on the right side of history, and decided to go full-time on blockchain. And that's how I started, working with, different companies, ecosystems, layer 1s, 2s, and even 3s. And now I recently joined NetMind about 8 months ago because several reasons. And again, this is actually what the first question you asked. I did the research about the team and everything they've been, working on the AI side. And everything was so old compared to those protocols kind of like joining AI as a rush, right? So I thought it was a great opportunity to create this intersection between AI and blockchain. And yeah, this is what we're doing. So we hosted this DePin arm, I would say, that allows everyone to provide their idle GPUs on the network. In return, they get NFT token as incentives. You can also rent in a cost-effective way GPU and resources, compute in general. The inference layer is pretty exciting as well. It's a working product everyone can join. You can easily get access to APIs on different models, pre-trained models that we have created. We have about 50 plus of them. Most of them are for free. Some others are not. You need to access through NMT, our utility token. And now we're very excited about our AI agents platform because, it makes a lot of sense for us to create a conversion of all these layers that we have created and put together to somehow reach AGI. I think that's kind of the next level of AI development in general.
So you guys initially started out as kind of like a DePin project. Is that a correct characterization?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
And then now you're kind of offering a whole suite of products.
Yes, because we have the structure and the architecture that allows nowadays agents to coexist, right? We have the resources, so agents can quickly scale on GPU based on their demand and their complexity of the tasks they've been working on. The inference allows you to fine tune and train those models, even deploy models as well, in a very cost effective way. And now the agents is kind of a perfect match, right? Most of the other protocols that I've seen that are building AI agents, they need to get resources on different places, right? So we have kind of a combined ecosystem meant for AI applications in general. And we've been working a lot on the Web2 side with several companies. Our team is pretty big. Again, it's about 80 plus members across different continents. And we're able to also create customized LLM solutions for people interested in blockchain. And I'm having a lot of those conversations lately because at the end of the day, people would like to leverage AI in a meaningful way where it fits. It happens with blockchain, right? Like back in the days, 2017, everyone was throwing out white papers and they wanted to create business around blockchain, but not all the time blockchain was a perfect fit. So I think that's something else that we can assist in terms of AI development in general.
So let's talk about the original kind of like DePin side of things. Explain kind of what that network is and what kind of decentralized compute brings to the AI space, and chat a little bit about kind of how that becomes a legitimate business when put on top of crypto rails.
Yeah, interesting. So on that end, we create this decentralized compute network because we believe in decentralization as a core. We know that the biggest players out there in terms of compute, they definitely have all this power, right? And we want to give power back to the community and to users and developers. That's exactly why blockchain was created in the first place. So we're following that route essentially. That network we have a lot of capacity. We have so many different, type of hardware, as well as the GPU and compute contributed by end users, let's say. So you can quickly figure out to, rent any kind of GPU hardware as well as provide your GPU. So it's pretty intuitive for anyone to do that. Our utilization rate is also pretty cool. I think it's about 97%. And we have about 6,000 plus GPUs on queue. So whether that demand grows, it could be essentially deployed automatically. So we try to keep it cost effective as well. So that way we can probably, distribute incentives in a sustainable way to those, providing their GPU to the network. So yeah.
And the current solutions, those are things kind of like, these massive cloud providers like, Amazon, solutions like that. Is that the case?
Yeah, totally. And we're like 10 times cheaper than them. So
how is that possible? I think like maybe a crypto skeptic would come in and say, oh, well, their VC subsidized or their token is paying for this, or, like it doesn't seem possible, economically for an identical product to be offered at 1/10 the price. How are you guys able to do this?
We're doing that by decentralization. We're just optimizing compute across all the different data centers that we have connected. We're creating kind of a marketplace of different data centers that are able to connect to the network. At the end of the day, I think that, and this is a really interesting topic because we've seen that with DeepSeek, which is what is exactly the value or the cost, I would say, for GPU rental, right? Based on your needs. Like, let's say I have a script, I have this model. That model needs to perform this and this and that. How much GPU do I really need, right? So this is something we've been, creating kind of this engine that allows you to connect GPU very easily. And I mean, we have a dynamic model that essentially, based on the availability of this GPU and compute, we can kind of rebalance this compute in general. So it's a bit different than regular cloud providers, I would say, but they also have the way, and probably have bigger machines, right, and scalability. But this is something we're growing as we go, right? That's the whole thing. We want to power this decentralized network by people and even companies contributing to that network itself.
So that's one thing I'm curious about, kind of from like an architecture perspective. Obviously, decentralized compute entails a variety of people who are providing their computing power. Who are these people? Are they individuals, companies, service providers, and how do you onboard them into the network?
Yeah, I would say a combination of all of them. The way onboarding is pretty simple. Again, you just go to netmind.power. You will see the GPU if you want to rent, if you want to provide. Then there's like different parameters such as location of those compute, type of the compute, the GPU, different models, so on and so forth. And then it's pretty plug and play essentially. So it's a very convenient way to get access. And as you see in other DePin protocols, we wanted to keep it very simple, as well as we're serving Web2 audience as well. So it's, we cannot go to degen on the way we onboard users, if that makes sense.
Interesting. And then why do you think that like this access democratization to compute is so important? Like what's the issue with just kind of everything being run on kind of a centralized service? These services tend to be pretty economical as well. I know a 10% cost improvement is enormous, but I don't think a lot of companies are going bankrupt necessarily chasing compute. Maybe I'm wrong there, but so why is this such an important thing?
There's no single point of failure, essentially. It's the same as blockchain, right? We want to keep the network going. We want to make sure that we democratize access to compute. And this is something that's going to scale a lot. As we've seen AI, improvements and development. And as soon as we, at some point, reach AGI or even ASI, it's going to get pretty demanded. So it's very easy for us to figure out, the way that even end users might be able to somehow get their hands on this opportunity, this technology. And we believe this is the way, and not only for AI as well as blockchain and probably other technologies as well. So it's definitely the way.
So kind of from a size perspective, how big are you guys compared to other providers or these massive providers? And do you see a path to kind of competing with them or being on the same scale as these providers?
I mean, obviously, it's very hard to compare to the biggest one, to the giants, because for obvious reasons, we haven't raised any funding from VCs, for instance. Everything is self-funded. So that obviously gives you an idea of our size. But the good thing is that we're providing value to those that have idle compute, essentially, right? There's so many big data centers that they're only allocating just a tiny amount of those resources, and we're giving them the chance to create profit out of it, right? To make it work. And we believe it's really important, again, because of the same thing. It's the same value. And that's what I like. It's combining the same values of blockchain and decentralization with compute. And I remember back in the days when we started all these POW, proof of work systems, and get a lot of controversy. So we're kind of getting into a similar position, right? At the end of the day, it is more effective, for sure.
Right. Is there a way where you guys could be kind of like symbiotic with these big compute providers? You guys aren't necessarily providing compute as a service, right? You're providing a network on which to provide compute. So is it possible that like you could work with maybe a big cloud provider someday?
Yeah, why not? I mean, we've had we're part of the NVIDIA Inception program, and we have a very solid Web 2 team that it's been working with so many interesting traditional and big giants, and we believe it's going to be the way. If they are not considering decentralization, they should in the future for sure. And we already have that competitive edge that we already
Hmm.
have a solid architecture that allows them to collaborate. And it's the same thing. Like as soon as more GPU gets advanced, we want to get access to those, right? So yeah, could be a synergy. It's definitely a long road. They obviously are for profit, so it's different, I would say, but definitely possible in the future.
Can you talk to me about like some of the clients on the compute side of thing, and how you've kind of transformed or affected in a positive way some of their kind of business outcomes?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of our biggest partners on the compute side are actually universities and research firms,
Hmm.
and they require massive um, compute. They have massive compute needs because at the end of the day, they're running all these um, huge research that requires a lot of calculation, a lot of compute, and I think that's amazing because at the end of the day, we're providing value to research and to innovation, and this is what I like. We just announced recently a hackathon on the BNB chain, and this is something else that we want to provide, right? We want to give tools for developers so they can essentially build innovative AI solutions. On the compute side as well, there's so many protocols that are, I mean, on the AI side, I would say there are so many protocols that are looking to get access to GPU as a marketplace. Because if they are building any kind of AI solutions and they don't have the hardware or let's say this entire infra, they like protocols such as NetMind to be connected and have the end-to-end solution for their developers. At the end of the day, I think we're serving them, right?
Right.
And another example, I would say Ocean Protocol. Ocean Protocol is a great example because they have massive nodes across the globe, a huge amount, 700K plus nodes, and they're doing some interesting upgrades on their uh, on their chain, and they will require GPU. So we became the first trusted GPU provider for Ocean nodes. So that's something else that we will definitely have a lot of distribution and supporting their network as well.
Okay. So Ocean is kind of on the crypto native side, but these universities are obviously not. Has there been any hesitation by the fact that you guys are like a Web3 native, crypto native project, or have people been kind of optimistic in working with you guys?
I think it's the way around. I think people sees us as a Web 2 native protocol.
Oh,
But
interesting.
everything that we've built, it's on the Web 3 side. So this is a funny conversation because it's something we generally discuss internally a lot. Like how do we serve? How do we promote all these products? And how do we serve both, scenarios, right? That's kind of a trick in a way. But we are Web 3 first, essentially. Everything is built on a decentralized network. We have our own fully EVM layer one, where everything is, hosted. And at the end of the day, I think, I mean, Web 2 businesses are probably not super interested in decentralization component, but they just want to see application layers, applications that merely serves their needs and their businesses. And this is something we can do, right? We have a definitely a solid consultancy arm that allows you to create these things. Could be a chatbot, could be whatever it is. So this is the way we're trying to serve both worlds, I would say.
Okay. So I think that's been a great overview of the compute side, this DePin network side of things. Can you tell me about the other product lines that you guys are kind of building out?
Yeah, sure. We have several products. We One of our really exciting product, I would say, is NetMind Life. Essentially, is meant for longevity purposes. Our CEO wants to live 100 plus years, so he's
Me
been
too.
building this algorithm, right? Who know? Who doesn't? So he's building this algorithm for more than a year now, along with Cambridge and Oxford and different prestige universities, and it's meant for giving you all these kind of recommendations and guidance through wellness and longevity, and I think that's something pretty exciting. Have you seen Brian Johnson, fighting death? And that's really exciting. Like obviously that's a super crazy, I would say, routine, but these will take you somewhere there, right? It's gonna help you on several things. I tested it myself, and it's really really exciting. I think AI at the end of the day is gonna become kind of a tool that will boost your humanity at some point. And this is actually one of the cases. And that's a very exciting product. Our company has a clinic in London where you can do all these different wellness treatments there. It's pretty beautiful, pretty exciting. And we recently deployed a AI agent meant for longevity purposes. So you can easily get into WhatsApp and talk to her, and she can give you a routine. She can give you interpretation on, let's say, blood test results and several things. And even if you want to, maybe if you need something specific, she can tell you like, hey, maybe you need to go to our clinic and our longevity hub in London and take this and this and this treatments, right? So that's a very exciting one. We've also been building we call it a Veggie that essentially is kind of a 3D avatars representation. So with a few pictures, you can have your own 3D AI model, essentially, that you can integrate a model and just try to fine tune and give them some knowledge, and he can respond, pretend to be you, right? That's a pretty, I would say, complicated product because I think still is easily to detect when something is AI. Maybe in the future it's not going to be that way, but as of now, I think it is. But it's also pretty exciting, and as well as our XYZ platform, which is our AI agents platform. We launched that a few days ago, and that allows you to deploy agents in a few clicks, no code, pretty simple. Even free agents, you don't have to pay. You can just create a private agent and test it, integrate the different models. You can choose between DeepSeek, Claude, Llama, and OpenAI. ChatGPT, I mean, and then essentially you can just give them the prompt. So description, what is the motivation for your agent, and then feed them with the knowledge base, which could be simple documents, simple PDF files with specific data, and that agent will take some time to learn it and will be very customized to what you're looking for. And you have like a chat box where you can just interact with them. He's learning from those human interactions, which is amazing. But you can also kind of get your own token as well. If you're interested, you can get your agent's token deployed as a public agent, engage with different socials, so on and so forth. But this is V1, so we're just starting there. The vision is way more exciting. I'll tell you that later.
Fantastic. I would like to chat a little bit more about the agent. First question around that is, you guys decided to go into like this health niche. Obviously, we're still in the frontier phases of AI, and health is kind of like a delicate place to, health as well as crypto, right? Portfolio management, stuff like that. AIs have been susceptible to hallucinations and stuff. How do you guys kind of view that risk by entering in this health space, and how do you mitigate that?
Oh yeah, that's a huge concern, I would say, because obviously health is definitely a sensitive topic. So we're trying to take a lot of precautions on that. Not giving direct health advices. She's not a doctor, so she's pretty cautious on that. She will let you know as far as she can go on specific questions, but she's being trained with a lot of fundamentals around DeSci and longevity. So she can give you some advices on things that you can do at home, right? Is it like a diet, for instance, or routine, and some supplements that you might, consider or evaluate. And again, for those that are not really familiar with longevity or all these health and wellness topics, I think it's a really way to start. It's a very convenient way. I share that with my family, my parents, and they start asking questions, and it's interesting. We sometimes think that in the crypto industry, especially, we've been always on the trenches and trying to get faster and to these advancements on technology, but it's hard sometimes to look back and say, man, it's crazy how much progress we've made in the past 2 to 3 years. So I think that on that end, it's pretty complicated, but we're just trying to make it as simple as possible. And similar to ChatGPT, it's a pre-trained model. It's not going to give you crazy responses on longevity, for instance.
Mm-hmm. And then this agent specifically has a token. Why did you guys decide to launch this agent with a token, and how does it fit into the kind of utility of the agent?
Yeah, so on that end, as we have the clinic, it's kind of Zoe's house, right? So is the name of our agent, and he's gonna give you benefits for treatments, for general benefits as a holder. And as our flagship agent, we wanted to go through the entire process of creating the agent, pre-train the agent, and deploying the token. And essentially, we believe that the utility of that token could be endless in so many ways. We're starting small because we want to make sure that everything's working as expected. In the future, for conferences, for I think benefits could be endless on that end. So that's kind of the reason why we have thought about launching several other type of agents, because at the end of the day, and this is something I wanted to share later, but I'll start sharing now. We're trying to build a new kind of civilization, right? It's a society of agents. We believe that in the near future, agents and humans will coexist, right? They will be able to work together, delegate tasks. Some of those repetitive tasks that nobody want to handle, you can delegate to that agent, and you will be able to create companies, right? Organizations, could be nonprofit, could be for profits, and that way you can just use a specific agent's capabilities to achieve a common goal, right? And that's what gets really exciting. So we thought about launching several, verticals, different agents, for DeSci, maybe for DeFi or DeFi. I don't know how to say that. And,
Right.
And several others. So that's the thing. We were just trying to lay down the foundation of what will become the new kind of civilization for agents, right? So that's kind of the reason why.
And does this agent operate on NMT infrastructure?
Yes. So by the time you launch a token of any agent on XYZ, every single token is paired with NMT already, right? And the reason being is, as soon as these agents start to get more and more complex, and they might require a lot more resources, they will be able to quickly scale their GPU needs by accessing our network as well as the inference platform. So the whole point is, as an agent, I don't need to look anywhere in order to improve myself and learn from past experiences and human interaction and coexist. Right, agents to agents communication is something that it's already happening, and that's the thing. Imagine, I mean, if we go I don't know how to say that, but let's say we look back in time, right? Who were the first human civilization, right? We're thinking about that, who are going to be the first agents that will be more advanced and will have the most knowledge and experience, and this is what we want to do, right? We want to create and want people, essentially, and users, to create in teams to create these agents, right, on a specific, very specific use cases, because at the end of the day, it could be billions of them working for us, right?
Right. Yeah, I've talked to two founders recently. One was like, "We're building for the infrastructure for the future government of Mars," and
Wow.
another
Wow.
one was like, he was at we were talking. And he was like, "So do you think money is still going to exist in the future?" And both of those times, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, people are really thinking on a different level about all this stuff, and it's
I thought
interesting to
that.
hear like the massive ambition, right? And it truly feels
Yeah,
like we're on like the frontier of these unlimited possibilities,
we're
and I think it's
definitely
an
are.
exciting time to think about like the wildest possibilities.
Totally.
So what do you think are like the wildest possibilities for perhaps agents that could launch on XYZ?
So I would say it's not super wild today, because we're rolling out different phases on this platform. And this platform, just to give you more context, something that we started building almost a year ago. And it was
Mm-hmm.
meant for, again, Web2 audience, right? Agents, as OpenAI has any other building agents. I obviously encourage our team to do that on blockchain for so many reasons, right? And
Right.
as of now, it's obvious. I'm changing so many things in the structures internally that I'm disrupting the team in a way. But it makes complete sense for us to do that, because at the end of the day, agents. I think commerce between agents is something pretty exciting, and we're giving the layer that allows value, transactions, right, on an internet level for agents. Otherwise, what they can do, they can only communicate, but now they can exchange value in so many ways, by knowledge, by tokens, or you name it. So I think it's going to get pretty wild on V2 onwards, because that's when the companies, organizations are going to come in, and that will allow you to essentially run a startup. That is, you're just the CEO, or let's say you're just a founder, and you assign a CEO agent, and you just give them the opportunity and what is that problem, how they will solve that problem. They can even figure it out that themselves. So it's pretty crazy. And I think this is why these founders told you about maybe the money is not going to exist later. Because why? Like, if you have this company running for you, making profits and everything, how is your life going to look like afterwards, right? So it's pretty intriguing. And again, I would say as soon as that companies start forming, agents will be able to hire them each other. They will cooperate. They will create innovative solutions, and that's a good thing, right? Using AI to solve so many problems on a very fast way, and problems that maybe we don't even think of right now. So I think we're gonna scale as a civilization, as human, but also as agents, and it's happening really fast. That's the thing. When AGI comes, things are gonna get a bit crazy, but
Right.
hopefully, rules and the foundation for open and trust AI development, it's really necessary. So there's so many other AI protocols working on that, and we want to democratize that as well.
Fantastic. Are there any like specific? I guess you kind of mentioned agents as they are relevant to companies, corporations, organizations. Are there any like specific use cases for agents that you think aren't being talked about enough, or you're particularly excited for?
I mean, I think everyone is speaking about those, but I'm super excited about them as well, which is DeFi, man. I mean, everyone who started in DeFi back in 2020, 2021, I think, well, it's a good question, but I think essentially DeFi is very complex for any average user, even for the Web3 users. Power users, they still struggle with things and bridges and gas fees and,
Right.
like so many complicated things. On the UX side of things, I believe agents will make things super easy, and with a natural language. So you can speak to the agent and say, hey man, I want to create better source of yield on my tokens, on my assets, or I want to do I need to do a transaction, or I need to do a swap on a someone else's wallet, and that wallet is on a different chain. The same agent will figure that out, all these things that needs to be done in order to make that transaction to happen, instead of you going to the bridging and getting on so many points that you can be hacked. And it's definitely going to improve the UX for users, but also to find alpha, right? To see what's happening. Like, these agents nowadays, they can give you so much information around, crypto Twitter, for instance, or even tracking on-chain activity. That's something pretty unique. You're not monitoring the blockchain yourself. So having someone that is, kind of this oracle telling you, hey, this is what's happening. This is the opportunity. Tell me what to do. And I've seen those already. I've seen agents buying pretty much, I don't know, let's say APing about $50 on every new token being created on Solana, and they sell if it reaches X percentage, and that's it. You can get rugged several times in between, but until you make it, right? So it's definitely improving things, in my opinion. So yeah, that's kind of one of the long hanging fruit use cases, in my opinion, that everyone is chasing.
Right. Have you guys integrated any of like the agent, like specific agents into workflows at NetMind, like on the company side of things?
Actually, we're doing that today, man. It's crazy that you asked that. We are creating an agent that essentially is gonna be assisting users and anyone to understand further our infrastructure, our GPU capacity, our inference, and our agents platform. So you can see it as a chatbot at first, because at the end of the day, we've seen those already. They exist. They can, you can ask a question, they can reply. Um, but this is going to be fully meant for NetMind as an ecosystem, and he can give you hopefully recommendations on how to better train your model, what are the best models that you can use for specific purposes, what kind of GPU you actually need, how much of those GPUs is actually needed, so you don't overpay for hardware that, or let's say compute that you probably don't need for a specific task. So it's going to be pretty much intelligent and with advanced reasoning, which is something we focus a lot when it comes to every single agent being created on NetMind. So yeah, we're definitely interested in that.
Fantastic. And then I think like the main. So I guess I have some questions around the agent platform XYZ.
Yeah.
So the first part is like, we've seen platforms that allow you to create agents and propose themselves to be kind of like agent infrastructure. I think Arc on Solana, Virtuals on Base. How are you guys differentiated from these platforms?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, we have the end-to-end solution, right? I mean, we have all the infra that these agents need. We're fully no code yet as of now. So it's pretty simple and straightforward for anyone to deploy agents, even for free. You don't have to pay anything. You can just have your own agent, and you can train that agent until you feel comfortable enough to deploy the token, if that's even your strategy, because it's probably
Right.
not. And you can create so many agents yourself. There's no limit for these agents to run tasks, to communicate. So they already have like all this power behind them, and ultimately we're still a bit behind in terms of the multi-agents ecosystem, because we recently deployed the platform, but we're very close as well, because we might launch that around Q2, and this is going to be super unique in so many ways. And we're going to be very likely releasing upgrades on the platform on a weekly basis. We already showcase what we call the advanced mode option, that allows you to integrate so many different set of APIs and kind of create the logic of the agent with these APIs toward your specific task. Additionally, I think a blend between a no-code and a code platform is definitely necessary, because we can serve both developers and non-developers alike to build specific agents on their needs. And something we've been starting to explore, and again, this is so much alpha because it's not happened yet, but I think is really interesting, and is allowing, like, imagine blockchain has this problem of cross chain, right? Everything is isolated. We have liquidity fragmentation in DeFi, and so many layers exist. Still, more layers are going to be existing. So how do you combine those together? How do we make a better UX for users on a blockchain level? The same is going to happen with all these platforms deploying agents. Are those agents going to be isolated? How these agents are going to be interacting with each other? So, and another question is, there's going to be one interface that combines them all together, or is it going to be happening behind the scenes? Like, they might communicate, but we don't even know if they're doing that. So that's what we were thinking, right? How do we combine agents, not only from the ones created on XYZ, but the ones created outside XYZ, right? A place for them to, communicate and create value together.
Right. It's actually really interesting. You can almost kind of compare them to like blockchains themselves, right? Where we have
Exactly.
like the agent platform, the underlying infrastructure, and then the agents kind of being like the assets that already exist on top of blockchains.
Totally.
It's kind of like skeuomorphic to
It's
the
pretty similar.
different layers. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And then so one interesting thing that I heard that you kind of skipped over a little bit, but was very interesting to me, is this idea of like consumer-facing agents. So people, it's with these other platforms, people have mostly been using it to kind of like create agents with tokens, agents with unique concepts that have a token, right? But you guys kind of have the space for someone to just train an agent who's maybe doing something that they want to do, some interesting task on Twitter or wherever. Have you seen any of these examples and anything that kind of like the everyday user could use?
Yeah, I mean, I'm testing those myself. Again, I'm really passionate about this innovation, and I definitely want to have agents working for myself. So, like, who doesn't, right? And
Right.
I started creating a few agents, private agents. They're not available for anyone yet. So, and I'm not gonna launch a token with those agents. I'm gonna use it definitely for personal use, and
Uh-huh.
I'm starting to train those agents to run a specific research on specific topics, create content, even myself, right? Like, I should be more engaged on Twitter, for instance. It's something that I don't have the time. I'm not doing much on that. But I want an agent that can help me out to understand the market behaviors and things that can help me out create content. I have another one that is going to be monitoring specific, on-chain activity to create, information for the other agent to create content. So you can start combining those agents together, and you can actually just tag them on the chat and say, hey, learn from this agent X, everything that is happening on the on-chain on Solana or any other chain, and the other one is going to be crafting, all this content in an interesting way, and then I can create another agent, and then this is how I start, building this small army of agents working for me or increasing my productivity. I think and we've seen that already since ChatGPT. Like everyone is using it at some level, right? So this is kind of the same approach. There's no cost. I can get access to this, and I can start using it for my own purposes. So this is what users can do. And if they want to raise because they have a team behind them, and they can work with, different dexes, or they have connections with different, protocols, they can obviously run their own agents, and we can support them. And even at this early stage, if they come to us and say, hey, we want to deploy an agent that is like this, like this, like this, we can do that for you guys. Like we can definitely create something from there until the platform has all the full, capabilities and features that we're building.
So previously you could launch an agent and it would be, it would climb to multi-million-dollar valuations and people would be excited about it, and it would have, as long as it had like a little bit of unique functionality. But now the agent space has been like commoditized. Do you think in crypto at large, there's still space for agents, or will energy kind of move to agent infrastructure and platforms that allow individuals to create agents over kind of like accruing value to the tokens of the agents themselves?
Interesting question. I think there's obviously room for agents. I think we have not yet, as an industry, we have not been creative enough to create agents that could, solve so many problems that we're not even focusing on. We've been, I think, really, it's been on this market blood for so much time, and we've been, focusing on memes or just, agents posting content. I think there's so much innovation and room for us to grow on meaningful agents and specific agents. And again, the concept that we have as a civilization, I think it gives a lot of the big picture of everyone interested in building agents, right? As a civilization, everyone has a role. We have a role. You could be, a wellness coach that is going to assist you with longevity purposes, or if you have any mind issues or something that you're not, I don't know, anything that can be personal, you can talk to her and she can assist you. The same goes with people that doesn't know how to do blockchain transactions. You need an agent that can do that for you, or like so many problems, right? And this is what is interesting about the platform. You can start creating that civilization from now, and the future is going to be super exciting because you are going to be connecting them. They're going to be communicating. We believe this could be the ingredient to reach AGI, because this kind of reinforcement learning between those agents together is going to create a very sophisticated, AI power. And yes, if you compare this to Pump Up Fund or any other launchpad that is essentially just looking for profits, and you see those charts, essentially, it's like, this is not bringing anything positive to the industry. We need to create something that is meaningful, and the application layer that you mentioned is also the case, right? We need to make sure that we create agents that solve real problems, and this is what we would like to encourage a lot. On this hackathon on BNB, by the way, we're encouraging users, and we have our own track to create security agents for smart contract audit and monitoring transactions and things on the chain. That's also very important, because at the end of the day, there's so many rocks, there's so many things that everyone can tell on crypto, and agents will be like an army that is not going to sleep, and they're going to be essentially securing networks. So that's interesting. There's so many use cases. That's the thing, right? We need to be creative.
I think I'm starting to understand like the civilization idea, where it's not just like a civilization, there's a lot of agents. It's like the society becomes the agents, and part of the value now is this whole layer of like agents interacting with each other as well, and performing services maybe for each other. And then like the entire economic base that is possible grows, because everyone's kind of creating utility for each other.
Exactly. It's really interesting to think about the future, and it's a future that is not that far away. That's the cool thing, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's see how that goes.
Phenomenal. Cool. So a question I like to ask founders of projects is kind of like, what is your greatest possible ambition for this project, right? And you guys have a couple dimensions of your project, so I'll let you address kind of any one of them. But if you were to look back at your career in 5, 10, 15, 20 years and have accomplished something related to the project, what would it be? What's your greatest ambition for what you're working on today?
I think that's a really good question. I haven't thought that through because I mean we live on a day by day case, and especially in crypto, right? Like it's every day is not 24 hours, like 50 hours a day. But I think, I mean, I would love to see obviously a balance between these agents, AI technology, and humans. I definitely want to see agents and AI as a whole, solving real big problems, cancer, scalability, or um, you know, or planet resources, anything that can bring some kind of a social impact, and for once technology actually assisting humanity. I think that would be super exciting, and people essentially in the future having a synergy with agents. I think that's a win. That would be a definitely win, right? Anything that can bring value to it. There's so many. I'm coming from a very small country, and I have seen so many people struggle to even get their paycheck, right? And there's so many problems out there that I believe technology could solve, right? And that's why the reason why I started working on blockchain, because I come from a dictatorship country, and the voting system was so messed up that they can always win, right? And that's something cannot happen with blockchain, right? So all these values that blockchain has with AI can definitely create some interesting and groundbreaking solutions. So I want to keep disrupting, and this is what we're building. We believe in that technology will be our allied instead of something else crazy. So yeah, in the future, again, I would say that it will be great to have that synergy and harmony around technology and humans. I think that's gonna be epic. And I think about my daughter's future, right?
Hmm.
Imagine in the future, like I don't know, in 10 plus years, how AI could be, and how it can harm people, or the way around. I want to be optimistic of that.
Right.
So yeah.
When you look at, or for anyone kind of like looking at NetMind as a platform, any of the kind of products, agents, XYZ platform that you're building, where would you recommend people start exploring the kind of universe?
Yeah, interesting. I think it depends a lot on the needs, right, of those users. I think our most consumer facing product now is the agent. So that's a very easy way to start getting hands on agent, how they interact. I think that's the best way to start. But obviously, we have all these GPU network, and the inference is also pretty exciting. We've been running all these community campaigns that we want the community to create content, right, with our inference. So there's models, text to text, text to video, text to 3D, documents, interpretation, like so many inferences that we have
Hmm.
there, and those models are super exciting, right? I've been creating, like, even with my daughter, sometimes I just go to the inference platform and she want to see, I don't know, like a baby swimming in the water, and I just create the prompt and it takes me this image in seconds, or whatever her imagination is, I can create it with AI. So that's a really fun product, right? That could be used in so many interesting ways. I think it depends on your level of understanding on blockchain and AI. There's different ways for you to get into NetMind and start using products. But I would say again, the agent is pretty exciting for anyone to test it out. It's interesting, and this is where Soy fits in, right? You can actually talk to her on WhatsApp. Imagine.
Hmm. Phenomenal. Awesome. Where can people find NetMind generally, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so netmind.ai is our homepage. Everyone can join there. We have a Telegram group chat. We also have a Discord community. You can check our blog as well if you're really advanced into AI and you know about AI. I definitely encourage everyone to go on our blog because we have released so many interesting papers, and those are very very advanced. So it depends on your level. I think those are the way. You can also follow us on X on netmind.ai, and same here. You can follow on my. You can reach out on Telegram as well. I can drop my TG if that makes sense somewhere. Otherwise, Ronald Tato is my name. So I'm pretty open. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me everywhere. So I'm fully taxed.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, a direct point of contact for anyone looking to get into the NetMind universe. Ronald, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Likewise, man. Thank you for having me. Great speaking to you.
Absolutely. Thank you.